because the June 3 disaster had happened, and we are told over 150 people lost their lives in that fire. Very, very disturbing. Exactly 9 years ago today, and thankfully we didn't have that same situation after. And today we have a very calm, gentle weather which has brought us to this day, the day we've all been waiting for. And this show, I'm sure you've been set on your TV set, glued, waiting to see Emmanuel Wilson bring you politics and beyond, your most transformative program. But today, Wilson is not here. My name is Wisdom Hededzome. You can call me Nyansa wherever you meet me. I'm doing this for Emmanuel Wilson. I'm sure next week he'll be here to give you the, perspective you've always been expecting. Today, what are we looking at? We're looking at how we can deal with the unemployment situation. Now, many say that we have created our own abyss where we're living in, and others say that this unemployment brouhaha is one that has been created by people who are supposed to be doing better and ensuring that we have a better life for all. Why is this very disturbing for you and for me? This is because if you look at the trajectory, now the ILO report alone tells us that looking at the year 2024, unemployment rate are going to rise, and that is very disturbing. If for nothing at all, on the global stage now, people are employed, but then they put them in a category which we call the working, but you are in a state of poverty. You're actually working, but you are living in poverty. That's if you cannot get an amount of $2.15 a day. If you do not spend $2.15 a day, then you are put in the bracket of working poverty. What this means is that if you are working in Ghana today, the dollar is 15 cedis to $1. And so if you are going to have $2.15 to spend a day to ensure that you are okay, that means that you should be spending 32 cedis, 25 pesos. Ask yourself today, have you expended that amount? If you haven't been able to expend 32 cedis, 32 cedis, 25 pesos, then it means that you are very poor. Now, the Ghana Statistical Service especially put us in a very, very serious state. Now, they tell us that if you look at the annual household income and expenditure survey for Q3, I'm talking about 2023, it tells us that we have graduate unemployment increasing. That's when the unemployment rate was put at 14.7%. What it means is that graduate unemployment became an issue. So the higher you climb the academic ladder, the higher risk of becoming unemployed. Just imagine that. The higher you climb the academic ladder, the higher risk you stand becoming unemployed. So really, is it the education system not helping? Our government not doing their best? And we as individuals, what really can we do? But in all of this, the former senior minister put all of this in a proper perspective for all of us in the year 2017, but it did appear we did not pay attention when he said, let me give you verbatim exactly what then minister said. Now, he said, in 2015, when I was the Minister for Education, we had 8 universities made up of 6 public and 2 private universities. That was in the year 2005. Today, as I speak, the polytechnics have been converted into universities. We have 20 universities in the public sector and about 75 universities in the private sector. Ask yourself, where would the product of these hundreds universities be working? So those are big questions that then Senior Minister Yao Osafo-Maafo put to the people of Ghana. But then we did not pay critical attention to it because we felt, look, this is politics as usual, and that if you are the senior minister, you are supposed to be telling us what exactly we can do as a nation, and this is the situation you are painting to us, then where do we go? Mind you, the issues relating to employment in the public sector cannot be overemphasized. Now, he continues to say that they can only find jobs if the private sector grows, expands, and becomes prosperous. If we don't get our mindset in this direction, we are heading for trouble as a country. They can only find jobs if the private sector grows, expand, and becomes prosperous. If we don't get our mindset in this direction, we are heading for trouble as a country. Now, this is a situation. Have we, since 2017, if we don't go back to the years, if we are just starting from 2017, 8 years down the line, have we set our minds to it that this is the situation at hand? Have we? Or we just go as business as usual? Because if you have 75 public universities and more than 75 private universities and more than 20 public universities, now if you look at the statistics, every year we have over 100,000 students being graduates of the various universities. And then ask yourself, how many can find employment in the public sector? Over 100,000 students coming out of universities every day. I'll use Legon for example. If Legon is holding a graduation for 2023 alone graduation, they had to use 5 good days. 5 days for the graduation. Ask yourself, how many students were graduated in various fields? School of Engineering, School of Medicine, School of Applied Sciences, School of what? School of what? Just name them. Ask yourself, how many of these individuals leaving our universities every year finds employment? Now, what is worrying is that if you look at the institute, that's the Institute for Economic Research, it's been indicating that if you pick all the graduates from universities, they find job after 5 years. This is the report, that after they finish their national service, they are not able to find job, and it takes them a minimum of 5 years, and out of that only 10% find job to do. So ask yourself, where do the rest of them go? This conversation is interactive. You can always join us via WhatsApp. Our social media handles are active. 050-888-1800, 1800. You can send us your WhatsApp messages. Log on to Facebook /TVXYZ. We are active there, and you can join the conversation. When I come back, my guests are in studio. Karen Na Oyo Kote is a student of the Accra College of Education, and Frederick Green is a CEO of Ziblet Green Logistics. When I come back, I'll introduce them to you, and then we'll have a conversation. You can always join us. This is Politics and Beyond. And you're most welcome back to Politics and Beyond. You can always join us. The show is interactive. In as much as we are airborne, we are also interactive on our social media handles. WhatsApp 050-888-1800. Your WhatsApp messages are most welcome. I'll be reading them to you as and when you send them in. But please, like our president said, don't be a participant. Please. Don't be a spectator, actually. Don't be a spectator, please. Be a participant. Participate show and send in your comments. I mean, you may have solutions as to how we can curb unemployment, especially amongst our youth in Ghana. And Frederick Green, CEO of Zeblet Green Logistics. Yes. The man, I was expecting to see a green man, but it appears you are right. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's good to be here on your show. And I'm grateful for the
It's actually Wilson's show. I'm just saying today.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Once you're in, yeah. And thank you, Wilson, for inviting me to your show.
Great. Na Oyo Karen, right?
Yes.
Karen Na Oyo Korte.
Yes.
How are the students doing?
Very well.
What message did they tell you to come and deliver to?
To come and deliver to everyone here.
Yes.
Well, we are looking up to Mr. Vice President. He promised us some allowance, and it's just to reflect on our phones. We are here to see the messages, so I want to use this honorable platform to reach out to the Vice President of the Republic. Yes, sir. Please, you need to see the messages. Thank you.
So that's the message your colleague sent you to come.
Oh yes, allowance is very necessary for the teacher training.
Well, she's from the Accra College of Education, and I'm sure. On that note, let me just go to Green and start with Green. Now, Green, you look at the statistics. I'm sure you followed. You are a CEO, so basically you employ people.
Yeah.
If you look at the skill set that you employ, does it match the education and the things they study?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Wisdom, for the opportunity to host me here, and I want to say a big thank you to Wilson for inviting me as well. But on the topic of unemployment, I must admit that this is a national discussion, and truthfully, when you look at the educational sector and what we do there, honestly, it doesn't really match what is happening in the corporate world. That is the truth. But having said that, it doesn't mean that we are not doing well as a country. I believe that there are structures, and it's the structures that we have not been able to follow through well, to be able to reflect what goes on outside, so to speak, in the corporate world. When you take the curricula that we actually work with in this country, basically it's supposed to enhance us, give us training, skills, what have you. I would take a clear, let me say, agency here, like the YEA. What is the YEA doing, or what are they doing, or what is their core mandate? Their core mandate is to pick the people who have graduated from school, or maybe have done their national service, or maybe the ordinary youth in the country, provide some skills for them. Okay, so you can have the YEA providing skills like youth in ICT, youth in entrepreneurship, youth in blah, 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 and all that. You ask yourself, when they are giving this training, how are they able to give them back to private sectors for them to utilize them? It is not there. So I think as a country, we are supposed to match our educational system correctly with that of the corporate world. And when we're able to look at this, I think we'll be good to go, and we'll be able to keep down the youth unemployment. Nobody will sit here and say everybody in the country who is a youth has been employed. No, definitely there are a number of people who have not been employed. But if nothing at all, let's look at the rates of unemployment. Maybe we shouldn't go far from 2016 to date.
It's now 14.7.
Exactly, but you realize that somewhere in 2016 the rate was around 5.3, and it declined. It came down to 3.37, which we saw that at least the MPP government that came to power has been able to do something about employment.
What have they done?
You can talk of NAPCO, okay, is one of the initiatives that I was so much happy with, because if nothing at all, it's going to give the youth some skills and some level of understanding in what happens in the corporate world. Have you realized that most of the time when you go to seek for jobs, okay, they will ask you, which experience do you have?
We'll come to that aspect of what the experiences will be, because basically we're looking at internship here.
Exactly.
And that's why I started from you, that you're a CEO, you employ people.
Exactly.
Look at the skill set. Does it match what they learn in the school? And then you said it doesn't really match.
It doesn't really match, but that's what I'm saying, that we should follow the structure.
Okay.
The curriculum is there. Does it really match what we are doing in the corporate world? So, for example, let me give you a critical example, like going to university to study social work. How can you? I'm a professional social worker, but ask me if I'm using it.
Okay.
I did first degree in social work, but am I using it? Because the economy or the country we live in does not really have a link. Even though there will be social workers in some of our hospitals and blah blah blah, we need social workers who go to the homes, who go to people to ensure that children are being taken to school. And if children are not going to school, they have to serve as sort of, let me say, they have to serve as the intermediate to report those parents who are not taking their children to school to government, with government agencies. So all of these things are structures which are there, but we are not able to utilize it. So automatically, you will not get what you are expecting. So you go to school, you learn, let me say, a particular course, and it won't match to that. What is in the corporate world,
so,
and then you come
in
out
essence,
being handicapped.
In essence, you are saying that you could go to school, learn, say, logistic movement,
exactly,
or say project management,
exactly,
and then you come out of school, the job opportunities or the job offers that are available has nothing to do with project management. So there's a mismatch between the job market and the the education that you get. So that's one leg of it.
Exactly.
That's one leg, talking about people who have gone to school and not getting the job. But there's also the angle of people who do not even get opportunity to go to school at all, yet they're also unemployed. We'll come to that aspect. But let me come to you now. I'm sure you're in the final year or second year? Final year. Okay. You're a teacher, so it's a bit some way for me. I would have asked you that, because for those in training colleges, definitely your internship and your assessment, whichever it is, you are going to the classroom to definitely go and study. So it will be a bit odd if I ask you if there's mismatch between what you do on the field. But clearly, you have had conversations, or like you told us that your colleagues sent you a message. I'm sure they've also been telling you that when you go for internships, I mean, not necessarily the colleges of education, but other, university students, did they also have that problem of mismatch?
Okay, well, with the issue of mismatch, it actually happens across different fields, not necessarily, even in the education sector, we also experience mismatches here. Because here lies the case, we are being taught in the classroom that, well, we now have an inclusive classroom where a student that is blind can be in the classroom and be taught with the students that are normal, can see, that students that are differently able can join the normal students to study in the same classroom. And with that, you have to get assistive devices for them, right, to make sure that they integrate properly into the classroom setting. And then you go to the field and it's actually the other way around. Now you get the student that is differently able in the class, but there's no assistive device to help that person. Now you've been taught from the classroom that when you get to the class and then there's this student that has an hearing impairment, the student has to get a hearing aid. Now he gets to the class, the student doesn't have a hearing aid. What are you supposed to do? So you see how it is. You learn a different thing in the classroom. You get to the ground and it's a whole different story. And now you have to bring in differentiated means to make sure that student is not left behind, and that student forms part of the classroom and classroom environment, and actually gets to benefit from whatever is being taught in the classroom. So yes, the issue of mismatch from whatever is taught in the classroom and what is on the field is totally different. And even talking of internship, some people, okay, so for some of our friends in the other tertiary institutions, not necessarily the training college, will go for internship in the name of going for internship to get experiences to fill up their CVs, and they become watching bias.
That doesn't happen.
Yes. Meanwhile, what was the our main rationale behind the internship was to get there to gain experiences, because when you are applying for job, the requirement that comes and say maybe 5 years experience. I just graduated. Where am I going to get that 5 years experience? You see.
So practically, I have 1 year to get that experience, and then you are requesting 5 years.
Good. So what actually happens in the classroom and then what happens on the ground? There are a lot of disparities with in it that as a society and as a country we must work towards creating that equal balance between what we actually learn in the classroom and what goes on grounds.
Green, can we deal with it? Unemployment.
Unemployment can be dealt with, and it can be dealt with if government is actually looking at where the problem is coming from. So for example, if you know that, because the truth of the matter is that a lot of us go to school and we are not interested in the technical vocational training that is given to us. Everyone wants to actually go into the what do you call it, the sciences, learn the accountants and what have you. That I feel is not helping us as a country. That is how come I keep saying that. When you look at this government, they've introduced what we call the STEM. STEM is a good thing because in this contemporary world we live in, you definitely have to learn something about technology because we are far advanced as a country. Then also, we look at our vocational and technical training. Okay, do you know that even recently, you see a lot of people going into construction, and they're not even coming from this country. A lot of them are coming from Togo and Benin, what have you, especially those who deal in POP and stuff. Because nobody has taken the time to go into the learning of POP or tiling or whatever. And it is only in the vocational technical institutions that can give you these skills. Even with electricals, with CCTV installations and what have you, nobody is ready to do it. So I feel that government can solve this problem when we now invest more in the technical vocational institution and make it somewhere like attaching some incentive to it that will motivate people to divert into such areas. When we do this, you will see that definitely, because industrialization is on the rise in this country and in this modern world. So the more we learn, we are then it means that we are going to be given into this companies that deal with industrialization or production, whatever. And through that, I'm sure the interest will just come up. Once the interest comes up, trust me, a lot of the youth will also branch into it, and from there we'll begin to build our country, and then I'm sure the unemployment rate will come down a little bit. But if we are all looking at one side, to become a lawyer, to become an accountant, to become a banker, trust me, the place is choked.
So what is really causing this lack of commitment from the part of the government? Because you see, for example, when I was growing up or when I was in high school, we had our school farms.
Yeah.
So even if nothing at all, you would learn how to grow maize, you'd learn how to grow cassava.
Exactly.
And we have arable lands. So what is this that the governments over the years are not committed to ensuring that, you see, like you talk about technical vocational education, for example.
Yeah.
If I start right now, just place an order that you need a professional POP person to come and work, you need a tiler. You, like you mentioned, you're not going to get a Ghanaian people.
That's it, you don't get them at all.
You don't get, even if they come, they won't do a very decent job for you.
That's it.
And that's the hard truth. Me, I'll say it. When the Ghanaians come, they won't do a very good job for you. Oh, now boss, a job that can take them 3-4 days to do.
Exactly.
They'll be doing this cat monkey play. I mean, how do they call it? Cat dog play, or cat mouse play, whichever way they call it. They'll be doing that kind of game with you, and then a job that can take them 2 days, they end up using about 1 week to finish it. And then you go get this Togolese And then just within the space of 2 days, you are done. So what really is the problem with we, the people here?
Like I earlier on said, I think government has a role to play, and we, the individuals, we have the role to play. The part of government is to make sure that the structures are working to be able to build up the interest for the youth to get into things like this. Now, on the side of the youth, okay, there is one thing which we are lacking now. Somebody would even complete university and would expect the parent to take their CV and go and apply for a job for them. You understand? So I feel that the youth now, seriously, honestly speaking, we are lazying about, and that's the truth. I always use myself as an example. While I was in the University of Ghana and I established Ziblit Green Logistics, it's been about 12-13 years now. I was serious. I was studying while I was focusing on building up a business, and that is what has kept me up to now. Up to now, I don't remember the last time I saw my own personal CV, because I feel I wouldn't need any CV for now. I'm just focusing in growing my business, and my business, by the grace of God, has been able to accommodate a number of people who are graduates and stuff. If everybody is having this entrepreneurial mindset, I'm sure we will cut down. So the bit of we, the youth in this country, is that we need to have the mindset of entrepreneurship. I'll tell you, in 2017, when I contested for the Council of State election in Ghana.
Oh, you contested?
Yes, I was the youngest to contest because I wanted to go and advise the president. And my motive and idea to go into the council was to advise the president on the need to establish entrepreneurship, what do you call it, training in this country. So we start from the secondary school throughout to the university. I don't think we have any course in the secondary school that deals with entrepreneurship. It's only the general business bit. So if we are taking entrepreneurship as a whole course, and we go to the university and we are doing that too as a whole course, before we come out, all the experiences, what we've learned, what we've been taught by our lecturers, will actually come out and practice with it. And our leaders should also lead by example. A lot of the professors are only dealing with the research, but they should come out of their offices and use what they have learned, the research they have, to establish something.
I mean, is this research that is helping you and I understand that right now, out of the university graduates, the higher you climb, the higher risk of employment you get, and that out of every year's group of graduates, it's only about 10% that get jobs, and even with that, there are others. It takes about 5 years.
Would you recall that when the NPP came into government? You see, for the side of government, I'm just careful in going there, because I feel like most of the things that the government has implemented, either from NDC time to NPP time to CPP time, what have you, government always have the structures in place. Okay, we have a structure like NEP, which came recently. How many youth are taking the advantage to access whichever loan or facilities that is at NEP? And when they go there and they get the money, whichever proposal they presented to NEP, when they are granted the training, you know, you go through training before the money is given to you. When they are granted training and they are given the money, do they use the money for what is expected of?
Okay, we'll come to that. Your messages are still welcome. 050-888-1800. This one, I would ask that you include your name and where you're sending us from. This one says, to be honest with you, this government has failed woefully in terms of employment. During NDC's period, the unemployment rate was 8%, and currently the rate is 14%. And the gentleman over there is telling us that this, this government has done something. About unemployment, and ridiculously gave an example of NAPCO. Please, he's not the gentleman there. His name is Frederick Green. So please, his name is Frederick Green. All right. This one says, good evening, please. I like the, okay. I think I'll go on. It says, I greet you, honorable panelists. I suggest that job provided in youth in Ghana should not be based on skills and innovation only. If that is the case, then unskilled workers abroad would not have made it. The truth of the matter is that most of the unemployed youth labeling themselves unemployed are employed, but the salary structure, especially in the private sector, is abysmal. Therefore, they live as if they are unemployed. It is better to be relatively educated and earn better salary than the highly educated but earn less than 1,500 cedis in this untold economic hardship. And this is from Ali Danladi from Takrady. Okay, this one says, do Dr. Bawumia live a spiritual Ghana while we the citizens? Let me take that again. You meant to say that does Dr. Bawumia, I'm sure that's what you want to say. Does Dr. Bawumia live in a spiritual Ghana where we the citizens live in a fiscal Ghana, or what? Where are the 2.1 million jobs Dr. Bawumia says his government has created? This is from Ablid Ifye Kuma Zongo Takrady. Karen from Johans and Tain ACCE, we are proud of you for your representation and also projecting our problems on. We love you. Keep the good work. Good evening, Wisdom. I'm Emmanuel, watching you from Weja. Most of the youth have entrepreneurial mindset, but the problem is, where is the capital? So where the money day? So that's the question they're asking. Good evening, Wisdom. I'm Francis Lewis from Bosomefreho district in the Ashanti region. Our education system is one of the contributing factors of the unemployment in our country. My reasons are as follows. One, we rather train our youth only on humanity instead of training them in TVET. Our politicians pay lip service to TVET. Number two, we should focus on TVET because it creates self-employment. I will suggest that the government should also support students who have completed TVET. For example, if you go to United States, as soon as your message didn't come well, as soon as you leave as a student who has steady electrical installation completed his program, the government is ready to employ that graduate. Please use some, because I completed. Okay, so I meant making reference to, you said the youth of today maybe are not serious. I mean, you put something like that in the context. It says that please use some, because I completed school in 2018 but working as a professional POP artisan and working perfectly. Okay, all right, I equal to you. I'd love to have your name and where you sending us a message from, please. How did NAPCO benefit Ghanaian youth? Were they even paid? Tahiru Mohammed Gaddafi is a student of NJ College of Education, WA, says government need to consider the concept of individual differences before employing workers, meaning they have to consider each and every effort and ability rather than bribery and corruption. And this one, this will be the last one. Hassan Sisi from Zenu Central says, good evening to UN studio. Tackling unemployment in Ghana is a communal labor to all of us. Today, we hope we have learned our lessons. And we'll leave it here. I'm sure you can also send yours in due course. I'll read it for you. Frederick Green is the CEO of Ziblet Green Logistics. And then Karen Naoyo Kote is a student of Accra College of Education. They are my guests this evening. We're looking at tackling youth unemployment in our part of the world. Now, we've been talking about what the education sector, provides for us and what we the youth as individuals can also do. But Karen, beyond what individuals can do, again, government is the largest spender. Government can do the biggest in terms of all of these. Frederick made mention of NAPCO. There are those who argue that, look, NAPCO just came to deceive a certain group of people, and so those kinds of jobs are not sustainable, to say the least. What do you say?
Well, I wouldn't dispute that fact, because I've had friends, I've had older siblings who have been on this NAPCO flagship program and are still home, sadly. Because even for the period of time they work, I understand the government is still owing them some allowances is supposed to pay to them. And even that allowance that was given to them, I don't know whether to call it something to keep them to for them to survive, or it's a hand-to-mouth kind of thing. But I believe that the government can do better when it comes to tackling the problem of youth unemployment. There are a lot of things available, as you said earlier, that there are a lot of lands there. We made mention of the school farms and all that. See, it's high time that as a society we tend to change some narratives. We made mention of a lot of things. So let me start from the school farm project. You know, when we were in high school and things like that, we had these school farms. The people that were actually going to the school farms to work were always punished. It's not like, so today, Form 2 General Art class boys or the Form 2 General Art people are going to work there. There are those who have defaulted in the school, who are sent to the school farms to work. So growing up, they grow up with that mentality that working on the farm is actually a punishment. They don't see the joy in going into agriculture, because from the onset, they've been programmed or, you know, made to condition, their minds has been conditioned that this is actually a form of punishment. Meanwhile, it should have been one way to stir up their interest in farming. Let's go to TVET. I think when it comes to the issue of TVET, I was discussing with somebody today that as a society, we have to really do a lot of public education on it. Because I went to school, and when I was using my SHS schools, I did my courses, general art for some schools and then home economics for some schools. For the school I had to attend SHS, I was given home economics as a course. And it didn't sit well with my mom at all, because why on earth should their daughter pursue home economics? Like, why? Because in their mind, the people that pursue these TVET courses are people that are dumb. People that cannot solve maths. And tell you, fine girl, you are doing home economics. Like, why? With all these, your fluency and everything, you sit in the home economics class. And it's the extent that even some teachers would come into the classrooms and then tell us all manner of things. What are they doing to the students? They are actually, I don't know how to, diminishing their self-worth. Now, meanwhile, these are the people that are holding the economies of this country. Let's move into the hospitality space. Which people are there? The TVET people. The logistics, like, let's cut our minds across. The people holding the affairs of the economy now are the people that have done some of these practical courses. So I think as a society, we should unlearn and relearn some things, that when your child wants to pursue any TVET course, see, push your child through and through, like, support the child with everything you have to make sure that that child attains the necessary skills to be able to pursue the passion he or she has. Now, when we move from TVET and come into other things, see, as a society, we are talking about this youth unemployment, and somebody is asking, where are we going to get the capital? I remember some years ago, I think in 2016, if memory serves me right, Kodmansa, the playwright, wrote an article in the Mirror, and he tagged it as Dear University Students. Now, when we are in the tertiary institutions, we see a lot of things to be fun, and it's hard to say, but some of us there don't think about life after school. So all we do there is to spend. And for some of our brothers and sisters in the university, for the ladies especially, they'll spend fortunes looking like brides. Meanwhile, going after, moving out of the confines of the school, you do not know what you are going to do. And now we live in the world where they say who knows you and who you know. Maybe no one knows you, you too, you don't know anybody. How are you going to survive? Dear university students, 1, save. 2, save. 3, save. I think that as a society and as youth, we are becoming too entitled to the government to help us after school. See, the government doesn't owe you anything. No one owes you anything after school. Now it is up to you to make something right, something good out of whatever. See, your parents sent you to university, they've done their bit. After the university, some parents, the least they can do is to take care of you for like 3 months. They are done. Now what do you do for yourself? Will you sit down and form associations like unemployed graduate associations and then saying that you are not employed and the government are not employed. Yes, the systems are not good. The systems are theoretical. We are learning for the next examination, not for what we are going to do in the future. But does that have to be your faith? Instead of looking like a bride, there are a lot of courses you can take. There are a lot of soft skills you can learn. Now we have the privilege and the blessing of the internet and social media. Like there are a lot of things from Udemy to all the other websites that gives free skills that you can learn. Sign up to something. Make sure that before you come out of the university, you are not only coming out with a degree, you are not only coming out with a diploma or with an HND, but you are coming out fully baked. Because it will get to a point where you come home and you are unemployed. See, you can't get your mother will tell you are making noise. The government doesn't owe you anything. Yes, there can be NAPO.
Those bread knife to cut.
Oh yes, you are making noise. You are making noise. See, the government doesn't owe you anything. Please, let's get this right. I know some of you come for me, but see, the earlier this sinks into our head, the better. The government doesn't owe you anything. Instead of spending time partying, wasting money on unnecessary things, invest in yourself. Aside what you are learning, get a skill. Because as I sit here, yes, I'm being trained to be a teacher, but you can't give me any design of a cake that I won't be able to design for you.
Oh, really?
Wedding cake, birthday cake, which cake? You want any kind of pastry, call me. You want any food, call me.
Wow.
You want me to do voiceovers, I'm there. There are things that I've trained myself to be able to do. Because, yes, after school, see, what the government is going to pay me is not even enough. Maybe, yeah, I'll be fortunate enough because of where I am, the government is going to post me or the government is going to employ me. But is that salary going to be enough to take care of myself and family? No. And aside from me, there are a lot of people that are relying on you. You can't afford to fail. And besides, no one owes you anything. So, dear young people in Ghana, the earlier this sinks into our head, the better. The government doesn't owe you. Yes, the government can do their best, but what are you doing for yourself? Please think about it.
Food for thought.
That's brilliant.
Frederick.
Yeah.
Says the government doesn't owe anybody.
Yeah. I think aside with that, you see, why do we acquire higher education? We acquire higher education purposely to be able to become good contributors to our country. 2, for us as an individual, we need to be disciplined. Okay? And 3, we also need to be responsible people.
Okay.
So if we have all this through education and we come home and we don't practice it, it means that we are not doing good to ourselves. Now, I go for a lot of conferences, and there's one thing I tell everybody. For people, we know not everybody can be an entrepreneur because it takes some level of reasoning, some commitment to become an entrepreneur. For those who want to start businesses on their own, I tell them, let's first take our time and sit down and look into all the sectors. We have the journalism sector.
Okay.
We have the logistics sector. We have health. We have education. We have a lot of sectors. First of all, align yourself with a particular sector and see, like the way Na is saying. Now I'm sure has sat down to see, listen, I can talk well, so I can do voiceovers. Or maybe I love going to the kitchen. I love preparing something with my hands, so I can become a good baker or whatever. So once you find that interest, then you look out for the sector that it is. You see, if we allow ourselves for God to speak to us, and if we can see what is around us, trust me, as I'm telling you, there are millions of job opportunities and let me say businesses that we've not even thought of. You see, Ecclesiastes 9:10 says what? Whatever thing you find your hands to do it and do it very well. And it all boils down to our attitude, our mentality, our everything. So let's identify a sector and then carefully study it. Because for me, when I was in the university, all I saw myself is, I love to enter into, because I see people shipping, logistics, import, export. What can I do with this? Within a space of 3 years, I've established my warehouses in China, Turkey, and Dubai. And the headquarters is in Ghana. And this is what I've been doing up until now. I looked out for a sector, and trust me, it will interest you to know that when you take your time to do all that, and you take what we call the tax codes in this country, yeah, do you know that, for example, if I want to enter into agriculture, do you know that everything I bring concerning agriculture, like the machineries and the equipment, tools, and blah blah blah, government does not even charge anything at all. It's just some little VAT stuff. So now, once I know that okay, there is a way, because government want to actually encourage people to, bring machines to establish some agricultural businesses and what have you. So they will give you lower tax on that. Okay. Unlike you trying to say you want to bring foreign clothes into the system, then what are you doing to our own clothing line in this country? Like what you are wearing is very beautiful. So if you are doing this, it's actually going to fetch you more than bringing the suits and the wedding gowns and what have you, thinking you are making business, but you are paying high taxes for it. So let's identify the sector, get to see what we can do or supply within that sector. When we do that, we'll be able to offer something to the country, we'll be able to build businesses and get people on board to help us, and that automatically loses the burden on the government and helps the private sector to thrive.
Well, look at what parents can do in all of this. But let me read this message. It says, good evening. I'm Bernard Larry. I'm watching you live from Garo Upper East. I like the conversation. My guys are really explaining the system. Now, the fact is, there is mismatch in the system. I wish the government does something about it. So that's what people are saying, that they wish the government does something. And this one says, good evening. Please tell Frederick I've been searching for him for the past 5 years. I once worked with him at the rubber company at Sakaman before. Wow. He should please share his number with me. Wow. So please report yourself.
Wow. That was a Chinese company that came up by then within my constituency, and we did some work with them.
If I didn't tell you,
yeah, that's true.
Yes, you have to well report yourself. This one says, despite the government's continuous claims of progress and prosperity, the reality on the ground paints a different picture. Economic hardships are intensifying, with rising inflation and unemployment rates hitting ordinary citizens the hardest, especially public services, including healthcare, education, are facing significant challenges, leaving many Ghanaians struggling to access basic needs. Corruption and mismanagement have further exacerbated these issues, undermining the public trust in the government's ability to lead effectively. While the administrators promote a narrative of success, the lived experience of many Ghanaians tell the story of growing discomfort and frustration. I think I'll leave it here. So let's look at what parents can do, because now made mention of parents not willing for their children to study a certain course in the university. I always say that when we're in school, one of the things that we learned most was draw a fish and label its parts. Clearly, we use that to eat kinky. I don't know if they draw the fish and label its parts. We're just meant to eat kinky. So if parents would put a certain interest in the things that they are worth study, so that when the baby comes to you and says that this is school, this is business, what do you want to do? I feel parents should get to that level, that after senior high school or maybe after basic education, parents should ask their children, do you want to continue or you want to do business? Don't you think we need to get to that stage?
Let me give you some overview here. There is a curriculum and there is a structure. We do, in our structure here, we do 6 years primary education. Yeah. And then we do 3 years of junior secondary education. And we do 3 years senior secondary education. And we do 4 years university. Where I feel parents can have control really on is the last bit, which is the university. Okay. Because everybody needs the basics. And no parents can do much when it comes to your primary education. There's whole 6 years from class 1 to classes, because you need to learn everything, and that is how the curriculum has been made. It will shape you up. When you go to the junior high school, you can't do much because you are doing all the courses. maybe, like I'm saying, government should begin to, because you know, even when you go to secondary school, they'll tell you 3 core subjects and 3 electives. The core subjects is where they have to tackle and try to see if they can put in this TVET and entrepreneurship, whatever, in the core, so it becomes compulsory. Okay? So then when you get to the university level, then parents can sit you down that, listen, you've done a whole, let me say 5 years. Okay, the 5 years you did, or let me say 5, 6, 3, 3 that you did. What do you think you can do best, or where does your interest lie? So parents can only shape and communicate with their children, but they can't do much when it comes to, helping their children to go into, because for all you know, you will push and push and push and push because you've seen his daughter being a lawyer, so you also feel like my daughter should also be a lawyer, just to bring the family the prestige. Are we talking of prestige, or we are talking of success?
Okay.
You understand? So government should work on this, and parents should work on the tertiary side, where we only guide our children to choose well and to choose their profession. Then we take it from there.
Because I'm asking because it's not every person who's supposed to be in the university. That's my
exactly. And the 4 years I'm talking about is TVET, vocational, what have you, and then the tertiary. So then, if after secondary you feel like you don't want exactly, then push them there and let them get the skills straight away. And by the time they come out, they are good to go.
Okay, now.
Yes.
The role parents really need to play in all of these things to ensure that this unemployment issue is dealt with, because like we all agreed to, that government cannot do it all.
Very true. So yes, I think parents should believe in their words first of all. If the child decides on doing A, as a parent, I don't think, as Mr. Green said here, it's not for the prestige of it, because we have a lot of these young people in the universities who are, they'll tell you, I'm just schooling because my dad asked me to do this course. I don't really have the passion to do that. So you will see that person who went to school because the dad asked him or her to go and do that course. And let's take the health sector, for example. I don't know if wisdom, you've been to the hospital where you've seen a nurse treat a patient anyhow before. Those people, ask them, they went to school because of their fathers and mothers. So as parents, I think it's high time we guide our kids to what they want to really do, and then support them wholeheartedly. Because see, if the child doesn't have interest in what he or she is doing, the child will go through it just like anyone else is going through it. And if the job comes, fine. If the job doesn't come, the child will still be a burden on you. Meanwhile, he or she could have done something that would have fetched him or her much more if he or she was pursuing his or her passion. So yes, as parents, it's a clarion call to all of us to support our wards in whatever field they decide to venture in, so that together we can curb this menace of unemployment, because it gets uncomfortable for all of us, not only you as parents, but you see, as a friend too, the person will text you, oh, can you help me with 50 CDs? I'll pay next week. The next week never comes. So please, parents, let's advise ourselves.
So all of these things, President John Mahama has a solution. Now he says that he's going to establish what he calls the Ministry of Youth Development, which will solely focus on developing youth talent and placing them in the available job market. Now he says the ministry is going to cut across all the ministries, because it is going to put policy for employment of young people in all the ministries, from education to health to agriculture to industry to trade and every other sector.
But wisdom, what happened to Jida? If he had a solution, what happened to Jida? You see, I'm glad this one is not really, this conversation is not really entering into the political space. There's a statistics that is showing that, number one, the most people who are unemployed in this country are the people with a secondary certificate only. Now, I'll plead with government and whichever agency or ministry that is responsible to now design a program to target those people.
Yeah, that's what he says is going to do, the Ministry for Youth Development, which will solely focus on developing youth talent. So in this case, whether I have university education or not, secondary, you have talent, they fish you out. Like how they do to coast football. you know, they pick the challenge.
I still don't want to go there because, I mean, he's been in power before.
So he knows better now.
No, it couldn't happen. But if he says that's what he's coming to do, we see.
Okay.
You understand? If Ghanaians give him the mandate, so be it. We will expect that it's done. But if Ghanaians do not give him the mandate, because we have already seen what the NPP government is doing. One other thing they should also focus about is about women. I beg of this government to tackle the female section, because it looks as if they are also the next when it comes to unemployment. And now we should check the private sector. The private sector should help this country. Government, have always maintained, cannot do everything. What is the private sector, those who are getting tax holidays, big tax holidays and blah, 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 what are they doing to help the youth of this country? They should create more jobs to absorb the youth. In this way, we will be good to go. This is my recommendation.
Now, finally, then we're out.
Okay. So about the youth unemployment. See, yeah, young people. I will say it and say it again. Today, the people that will come for me are many. The government doesn't owe you anything. One, government doesn't owe you anything. Two, the government doesn't owe you anything. Three, make sure that you invest in yourself and make sure that you become the best version of yourself. See, that sense of entitlement is too much. We have a lot of things at our disposal. When you go to LinkedIn, many of the young people nowadays do not even know about LinkedIn. Meanwhile, there are a lot of opportunities there, and we'll come and sit down, and in the name of unemployed graduates, we'll be making noise. But there are a lot of these tools and platforms available for us to leverage on to make better use of all the skills and the knowledge we've acquired in school. So, dear young person, please sit down, do an introspection, and know how you can help your country and help your family as well. Thank you.
I think there's a message I wish I would have time for you to answer now. This one is from Esther McAfee. He says, government can't do it all, but government can make the economy conducive for people to be able to stay comfortable. If government doesn't owe everyone employment, at least they should owe us a stable and running economy that won't affect people's businesses if the wish is to set up one. So they definitely owe us something. Now, that's the response to you. I mean, government doesn't owe anyone, but this one says government owe us something. At least they should create a good environment for us. I mean, the tax holidays and all of those things should be okay. You know, the avenues, if you want to set up, if you want to develop yourself, government doesn't owe you anything, like Nai is saying. But then again, government owes you something. At least government should create a good environment. Government should ensure that maybe your trading currency is stable. Government should ensure that you have power to work, and all of those things. At least government owe you all of these things to ensure that your employment status is well managed. I've been speaking to Frederick Green. He is a CEO of Ziblet Green Logistics. Fred, thank you so much for being a part of the show. And Kari Naoyo Kote is a student at the Accra College of Education. Now, thank you very much for being a part of today's segment. My name is Wisdom Hededzome. I did this for Wilson Emmanuel. Catch a repeat of this on Wednesday at 11. Good night.